Hello, everyone. This is Guan Lei. I'm the co-founder of Untangled, and nice to talk to you again. So today I'm going to introduce OctoPos. Now, OctoPos is a service of Credio. Credio is itself is a risk advisory and monitoring business of Untangled. So if you navigate yourself to credio.network, you'll be able to see there's a link to OctoPos. So what is OctoPos? So the issue with Stellar DeFi today is that if you go to the wallet, in this case, I'm going to one of the treasury wallet of our vault, you'll see that there are a number of tokens on here, but the value is not correctly calculated. Now, the reason for that is obviously Sorbonne tokens are not being captured within this traditional wallets. However, so you can see there's only 21,000 here. However, if I was to copy this address, which is a G address, and paste itself into the OctoPos Explorer, then I will be able to see, hopefully quickly, it may take a few seconds because now OctoPos is fetching data from 6 adapters representing 6 protocols within Stellar. So there now you can see that this portfolio is actually $151,000. And the interesting thing here is that even when the wallet or some kind of UI showing the blend protocol tokens, it is not showing whether or not the position itself is a collateral for a loan or which balance is actually a borrowing balance. So in this case, you can see that there's an amount of about 106,000 XLM being borrowed with 146,000 in terms of collateral. So the value of the borrowing is about 18K and the value of the collateral is 146. So together with some other balances, then the total portfolio is 151K. And you can see here what kind of protocols that we are fetching the data from. So here we got SoloSwap, Phoenix, FXDAO, Stellar Wallet, of course, and Untangled Vault, Aquarius, and Blend Protocol. And it's also showing how quickly we can fetch the data from these underlying protocols. Some of them takes 16,000 milliseconds, like the Blend one. Of course, this is depending on the performance of the RPC and other kind of fundamental infrastructure. But here we have a portfolio that is correctly captured in terms of the value and the nature of the positions. Now, one thing to note is that even when you are able to capture, let's say, the balance of XLM from Blend, there's no guarantee that the value of that XLM is the same as the value if you were to get it from Aquarius. Now, this is a problem that we had to deal with, called normalization of the price. So we want to make sure that there's one unified source for the price. So if you were to run a delta neutral portfolio where you have a long position that is sitting on Aquarius and a short position or synthetic short position sitting on Blend, like what you can do with Untangle Loop, then obviously you want to make sure that the position offsets because obviously it's the same quantity of XLM on both, right? So the valuation offsets, so you have a delta neutral. And we are able to do that with OctoPos. So if I was to go to a Aquarius pool, for example, this one, SolBTC, and X so BTC. And if I just copy the address and go back to where we were, so far I have shown you the G address. Now I want to show you the C address, which is the contract address. There you go. You'll be able to see that now the value of this pool that is sitting on Aquarius is about 12.9 million, making up of 75 XO BTC and 94X SO BTC. And you can compare that with the actual reporting by Aquarius. So there you go, 75 and 94 with the value of 12.99 million, 12.9 million. So this is the first step to make sure that the positions, DeFi positions, are correctly tracked. What we are doing next is we're also reaching out to other kind of non-DeFi positions such as RWA, because the Stellar chain is known for RWA tokenizations. And we will be working with the RWA teams in order to bring those tokens onto OctoPos. And you can always take a look at the documentation. Here we show an introduction to OctoPos, including the architecture, which you can read, and the supported sources in terms of the protocols that we have integrated with and going to integrate even more. And then where we get the price sources, so all transparent. And obviously, what we are developing next is a risk monitoring dashboard. Now, this is not part of the IFP, but we believe that just showing the snapshot of the positions is not quite enough. It's a good start, but what if the portfolio holder wants to make sure that the position are healthy, want to have notifications when something like a hack or some kind of overutilization of the pools happens? That is what we are doing with the risk monitoring services. And obviously, once we got the correct data for the portfolio, then other use cases can also be applied. In this case, we are building some agents to exit the positions when the system can detect a threat. For example, one of the major findings from the postmortem of the blend pool Oracle manipulation was that had there been a monitoring system, then the team would have had more time to deal with the hack and recovered even more funds. So finally, I just want to quickly go through the status of the project so far. So here we are providing updates in terms of the tranche number 1, which is the core protocol adapters. In this case, we only have to deliver about 4 or 5, but in fact, we already all delivered all of them, as I just show you. And you can obviously test it yourself. What we have done also is actually to provide a public API, which is part of the tranche number 2. So if you go back to the documentation, which is here, you'll be able to see the API subscription here, the API endpoints that anyone can request. And we also implemented a subscription service using X402 as well. So at the moment, in terms of the progress, both tranche number 1 and number 2 have been completed. What we are doing right now is to continuously improve the quality and the performance of the system, which is part of the tranche 3. and we should be able to complete this within the next week or so. So by now, thank you very much. And if you have any question, then just reach out to our team. Cheers. Bye-bye.